Every time you get the thing you wanted, the job, the relationship, the money, it feels amazing for about 2 weeks. Then it just becomes your life, and you're already looking for the next thing. Why does this keep happening? There's a pattern running in the background of most people's lives, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Behavioral economists have a name for it: the hedonic treadmill. Ancient Vedic thinkers described the same thing thousands of years ago using a different image: fire. What we're going to cover today is why wanting more is quietly draining you, what's actually happening in your brain and your psychology when you chase the next thing, and most importantly, a practical way to stay ambitious without being owned by your ambitions. Think about the last time you really wanted something. Maybe it was a promotion, a new apartment, a number in your bank account. You worked for it, you got it, and for a moment, maybe a few days, maybe a few weeks, it felt like enough. Then something shifted. The apartment became just where you live. The promotion became just your job. The number became just your balance. And quietly, almost without noticing, you started wanting the next thing. This is not a character flaw. This is not ingratitude. This is one of the most well documented patterns in all of human psychology. Researchers Philip Brickman and Donald Campbell named it the hedonic treadmill back in 1971. Their research showed that people who won the lottery and people who became paralyzed in accidents both returned to roughly the same baseline level of happiness within a year. One group gained everything they thought they wanted, the other lost almost everything. Same result. Your brain has a happiness set point, and external events, good or bad, barely move it for long. The treadmill speeds up every time you achieve something, demanding more just to keep you in the same place emotionally. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The Vedic texts, some of the oldest psychological literature on the planet, describe this exact dynamic. They compare desire to fire. You feed fire to put it out, but feeding fire doesn't extinguish it. It grows. The more you give it, the more it demands. This isn't a call to stop wanting things, it's a diagnosis. And a diagnosis is only useful if it leads somewhere. Here's the neuroscience kept simple. Your brain has a reward circuit built around a chemical called dopamine. Most people think dopamine is about pleasure. It's not. Dopamine is about anticipation. It spikes hardest not when you get the thing, but when you're about to get it. This is why scrolling through a shopping cart feels almost as good as buying. Why planning a vacation can feel more exciting than the vacation itself. Why the chase often feels better than the catch. When you actually get what you wanted, dopamine drops. Your brain has already moved on, scanning for the next target. This is not a bug. It's how humans survived for hundreds of thousands of years, always hungry, always moving, always searching. That drive kept us alive, but the environment that drive evolved for no longer exists. We're not scanning the horizon for food and shelter. We're scrolling Instagram, watching other people's highlight reels, and our ancient survival brain is treating every gap between where we are and where they are as a threat to fix immediately. The Vedic framework calls this condition a kind of restlessness, a state where the mind can never settle because it's always in acquisition mode. Modern psychology calls it a negativity bias combined with social comparison. Different words, same trap. The practical insight here is this: the wanting feels urgent, it feels like it's telling you something important. But often, it's just the mechanism running. Learning to tell the difference between genuine need and the treadmill spinning. That's a skill. And it starts with one thing: the pause. There's a story from the Vedic tradition about a king who had everything: wealth, power, a kingdom, a family who loved him. And every night he couldn't sleep. His advisor came to him and said, "You are trying to fill an ocean with a cup." The king didn't understand, so the advisor took him to the ocean at dawn and handed him a small clay cup. "Fill it," he said. The king scooped water, but the moment the cup left the surface, half had already spilled. He tried again. Same result. The advisor said, "The ocean is not the problem, the cup is the problem." This is what behavioral economists call the reference point problem, and it's brutal once you understand it. Every time you achieve something, your reference point shifts upward. What used to be the goal becomes the flaw. The gap between where you are and where you think you should be stays roughly the same size, no matter how much you accumulate. A study from Princeton found that beyond a certain income level, one that covers genuine security and basic comfort, additional money had almost no measurable effect on day-to-day emotional well-being. Not zero effect, almost zero. The hedonic treadmill happiness research consistently shows the same pattern. The gap between wanting and having resets fast. So what's in the void? What are people actually reaching for when they think they're reaching for more money, more status, more experience? The Vedic answer is surprisingly practical. They're reaching for a feeling of completeness, of being enough, of not needing the next thing to feel okay right now. And the cruel irony is that chasing external things to get that feeling is exactly what prevents you from finding it. Because the chase itself signals to your nervous system that you don't yet have what you need. You can't acquire your way to contentment, but you can cultivate it. And that's a completely different project. This is where most people expect to hear just be grateful or stop wanting things. That's not what this is. The Vedic teaching on desire is subtle and it's often misread. It doesn't say desire is wrong, it says attachment to outcomes is what causes suffering. That's a meaningful distinction. Think of it this way: a skilled archer pulls the bow back with total focus and intention. They aim, they want to hit the target, genuinely. But the moment the arrow leaves the bow, it's gone. They don't chase it through the air, they don't collapse if it misses. They pick up another arrow. The wanting was real, the effort was real, the release was complete. This is what psychologists now call non attached goal pursuit, and research on it is growing. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who pursued goals with what researchers called equanimity, genuine effort without desperate clinging to specific outcomes, reported significantly higher well being than people who were equally motivated but rigidly attached to a single path. The practical difference looks like this: attached wanting sounds like, I need this to happen or something is wrong with me. Non attached wanting sounds like, I'm going to give this everything I have, and I'm also okay if it takes a different shape than I planned. One of those keeps you on the hedonic treadmill, the other lets you step off it without giving up your drive. The Vedic texts describe this as acting from fullness rather than from lack. Most people pursue goals because they feel incomplete without them. The shift is learning to pursue goals from a place that already feels stable. Not because you have everything you want, but because you've stopped making your peace conditional on getting it. So if external achievements don't move your happiness baseline, what does? This is where the research gets genuinely surprising, and where ancient practice and modern science point at exactly the same thing. Studies on gratitude, not the greeting card kind, but structured, specific, deliberate gratitude practice, consistently show that it's one of the few interventions that actually shifts the hedonic baseline rather than just temporarily lifting mood. A 2003 study by Robert Emmons found that people who wrote down 3 specific things they were grateful for each week reported significantly higher life satisfaction over 10 weeks compared to control groups. Not, I'm grateful for my family, but specific, sensory, present moment things: the weight of a coffee cup, the fact that your knees work, the sound of rain. The Vedic practice behind this is called santosha, often translated as contentment, but more accurately translated as the practice of finding sufficiency in what is already present. It's not passive, it's a daily discipline, a conscious act of noticing what's already here before you start scanning for what's missing. Neuroscientist Rick Hansen describes the brain as having Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones. The negativity bias means good things slide off while bad things stick. Deliberate attention to what's already good is how you manually counter that wiring. The second practice is what the Vedic framework calls seva, action without keeping score. Doing something for someone else with no expectation of return. This sounds soft until you see what it does to the brain. Research on pro-social behavior consistently shows it's one of the fastest ways to break the self-referential loop that keeps the hedonic treadmill spinning. When you stop asking, what am I getting, even briefly, the grip of wanting loosens. None of this is about becoming someone who wants less. It's about becoming someone who isn't held hostage by wanting. You can still go after everything you're going after. You just stop making your inner state a prisoner of whether it works out. The hedonic treadmill happiness trap is real, it's documented, and it's been running in the background of human experience for as long as humans have existed. But it's not a life sentence. The practices we talked about today, noticing the treadmill, separating wanting from needing, acting from fullness instead of lack, and deliberately training your attention toward what's already here. These aren't theories, they're skills, and skills get sharper with repetition. If any of this landed for you, subscribe and turn on notifications. We go deep on this kind of material every week, no fluff, no filler. And if you have questions about anything we covered today, Whether it's the psychology behind it, how to actually apply it when life is genuinely hard, or anything else, drop them in the comments. I read every single one and I reply. Seriously. The comment section here is a real conversation. Finally, there's a free Daily Mind Reset Kit linked in the description below. It's a practical toolkit built around the principles from these videos. Short daily practices, not a 40-page PDF nobody reads. The link is right there. Go grab it. I'll see you in the next one.